listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. And now your footwear insiders, Matt Priest and Andy Pope.
I just shot off a confetti cannon right in Matt's face.
Oh, it's all in my hair.
And I got sparklers inside where I shouldn't have.
Oh no! I'm banging pots and pans.
And I'm smoking a New Year's cigar.
Sweet.
Even though it says no smoking in the studio.
Oh, you jerk.
I think that was a champagne pop.
Or a riot.
Jasmine's in the corner drinking champagne.
Yeah.
There we go. That was a Jasmine.
That's wonderful. She's good. Yeah.
Man, 2020, a whole new decade.
A whole new decade.
That's crazy.
But a whole new FDRA as well.
That's true. A whole new FDRA.
An addition.
An addition,
A
yeah.
growing FDRA.
No,
we didn't
things are
tear
morphing and changing in
We didn't
2020.
tear the house down and rebuild it. We just added on a family room on the back.
A beach house.
A beach house.
Exactly. Many things are changing. This episode, we'll cover some 2019 highlights that we see in the industry, both in terms of product, sneakers, trends we saw, hot topics, what we're going to expect in 2020. But we do want to introduce someone to you.
Yeah, we do. It's Sabria Butler. She is so not gong worthy. She is the new addition to FDRA, the family that is FDRA. And she is now on the podcast because it's kind of a requirement for employment that you have to come on the podcast, even if you don't want to.
It's in the handbook.
Sabria Butler, welcome to FDRA and welcome to Shoe In.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Welcome, Sabria.
So give us a little backstory, Sabria. Where are you from? We can add what you get, what you got, what you're getting later, but where are you from and all that jazz?
Well, I'm from Maryland, PG County, Maryland, Fort Washington. And I recently started with FDRA. I'm the new marketing and events assistant. So
Awesome.
it's really cool to be here. Different
Cool to
for
have
me.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll get right used to this. This is our 100 and whatever 90th episode.
Almost close to 200, yeah.
Most of them suck, but so not to worry, it'll be fine. So what are you most excited about being on the program and then with FDRA?
Well, I mean, this is, like I said, my first time being on, a podcast in general. So I guess, I kind of feel a little bit like a celebrity.
Yeah, that's what you
I'm
are.
the guest
Like to
for
hear.
the day. So that's pretty cool. And then I'm a big sneakerhead, so working for you guys, being a part of the footwear industry is super cool as well.
That is cool. What's your go-to brand?
Nike,
Yeah.
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever
Can't say anything else.
We forgot a special part of what Sabria does outside of FDRA, but still a part of FDRA, and that's what?
So I work retail for Nike.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, so that makes you the perfect fit. I mean, you get both the retail side and experience, and then the back end and all the regulatory and events and just industry stuff that's going on, which is cool.
Yeah, super cool.
How long have you been in retail?
So I started working for Nike about 6 months ago, but I've had the time of my life at Nike. It's super fun. They have a cool work culture there, and you get a cool discount as well. And I'm sneakerhead, so I mean it works out for me. So
basically, you get paid, and then you take that paycheck and give it right back to Nike.
Pretty much.
I think that's called their future loop or something. It's like their recycling program is like taking the shoes back in and your paycheck.
That's so true.
Yeah,
I
they
worked
get
at
all
Sam
my
Goody.
money.
I worked at Sam Goody in college, and they literally would come to me on payday and say, "You owe us money. So we don't have anything for you."
Sam Goody is where they sold CDs and cassette tapes.
That's right, for like $18
In
a
a
pop.
Sam Goody.
It was in a
candy.
Fuji song, I do believe. Get your CD at Sam Goody. You ain't even close with the rhymes that you wrote.
Both those don't exist anymore, the Fugees or Sam Goody.
Or any CD store for that.
Yeah.
That's true.
It'll come
That's
back.
true.
Were you ever working at any different retailers before you started?
Yeah, I worked at Brooks Brothers.
Oh, okay,
Wow,
cool.
we didn't know that. You still get a discount there?
I never used it. Yeah, it wasn't. I don't want to talk bad about them, but it definitely wasn't the highlight of my life or my
Yeah.
career, retail career.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Andy worked at
business
Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
That's cool.
I think I'm the only person who's never did any kind of retail.
Really?
Yeah.
You worked at a water park. That was cool.
Yeah. I guess that's like, it has emissions. I didn't really buy anything from
Did you
retail.
get a discount on the water slide?
Oh, I got in for free.
Oh,
Everybody
nice.
with me got
To
in
work.
for free. Yeah. I was a supervisor.
Oh, wow. Which one?
Unfortunately.
Cameron Run?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, well.
It's an eclectic bunch for water park visitors.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, no, it is.
So, as we look at 2019 wrapping up the year, there was a lot that happened in footwear.
Yeah, man.
It was an exhausting year in
Big
many
time.
ways with
I'm
all the
exhausted even thinking
politics
about it.
and the trade. There was a lot of cool stuff that's happening in our industry that's constantly, I think of things like DSW creating like a nail shop or nail salon in
Yeah,
their
that's cool.
stores.
I saw it in Fairfax not too long ago, so they've rolled them out pretty broadly.
You've got different collaborations for product coming out. One of those was like Crocs and Post Malone or something
Yeah,
like that
those
occurred.
things are super hot.
You had things like Popeye's fried chicken, no relation to footwear, but that was big.
Oh, the fight with Chick-fil-A. The Chick-fil-A fight. And Jasmine, you tried both, right? So,
Oh, yes, I did.
and verdict?
Chick-fil-A is better.
Exactly.
No, it's
Thank you.
not.
Oh, well,
No.
I can tell you what it is.
The Popeye
Debate.
sandwich was definitely better.
Debate.
No.
They probably,
way
I think they
better.
triple breaded as an expert in
Yes.
making fried
Okay.
chicken. 3-year expert. They probably triple breaded the chicken to make it like real thick. So it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Because 1/4 is chicken and 3/4 is fried flour. So
I mean,
obviously,
But just the hoopla, like when you have all that, anticipation when
Yeah.
eating a chicken sandwich, it's
Can't
supposed to
live up to
knock
the
it out.
hype.
Yeah, it's supposed to knock it out of the park. It's
It
supposed to
knocked
be
it out of
way
the park
better
for me.
than-
I loved it.
Okay, but question.
I get one like every week.
You adding on to
Really?
the problem. I refuse
Ain't
to
no
buy one
way.
now.
One a week?
Yeah,
that's
they're
strong.
that good.
Well, did you eat the chicken tenders before? Now, this is going off on a tangent, but just curious.
Let's ride this
the
wave.
Popeyes chicken tenders?
Yes.
No, I've never had
See,
it.
I eat those all the time. That's my go-to. I don't
I'll
get
get a
regular
Popeyes.
chicken wings, so I
Popeyes
think
is
that's
nasty.
why. What?
Oh,
Versus
no.
what?
I don't really like
Go to
Chick-fil-A,
Bojangles.
so
Oh, no.
yeah,
no.
Bojangles.
And we don't even have a Bojangles where I'm at. Like,
That's very close.
no,
Union
I have
Station.
to travel.
You can get Oxon
There's
Hill.
There's a
In the basement,
Really?
Union
Yeah.
Station.
That's the Motown bow.
Oh, that's
They
so.
play
and a
nothing but
Chick-fil-A,
Motown songs.
so you can do them
I go to the
simultaneously.
Chick-fil-A immediately because it has
Oh my
perfect
gosh.
prime location right when you
biggest-
get off the escalator.
The biggest news in 2020 where I'm from is a Bojangles is opening in Loudon County.
Oh, wow.
man.
Wow.
12 minutes away from my house. I already
That's
looked
awesome.
at
You mapped it out, huh?
it. Yep.
Well,
Why are we
Costco.
talking about all this?
before it's open, you already know how far it is.
Why not?
Okay, well, back to footwear. Sorry.
Yeah, our listenership has plummeted, but we've gathered all these chicken fanatics who've
People need to
joined us.
know. People need to know beyond the
do need to know.
shoes. This is like behind the scenes, beyond the footwear.
Beyond the footwear. Yeah, 2019 was crazy. The tariffs, it's like tariffs. We spent years talking about how tariffs suck and we need to do away with them, and not many people listen, and now everyone's listening. And so we had 2 letters to the president from the industry. 170 companies signed the first one, 210 companies signed the second one. So it's been a year where people are now really kind of locked in as to how the U.S. government charges duties and how that impacts the footwear supply chain and our consumer. So that has been, I think 2020 is the year of tariffs. I mean, I really think it is.
Do you think it's going to be as much activity as we had in 2019? Do you think like the amount of press that we were involved in and things like that will mimic?
I probably so, in the sense that unless there'll still, even if they do a deal, it'll only be a section of it, so they'll have to figure out kind of the timing of other deals, and then we're in a presidential year, which makes everything
Yeah.
go crazy. So I can't imagine why it wouldn't be just as frenetic as it was in 2019. But I mean, I need a breather, so I'm glad that we're taking the holidays off, because the thought of having a 2020 just as crazy as 19 as it relates to tariffs is a little disconcerting.
Can we expect a peak, like how we had kind of like a peak in May until later, like of the summer? I feel like it was. I mean, we're still
Yeah.
talking about it now, but like, should people expect more information or a lot more talk at a certain part of the year?
I think it's just ongoing. There will be
Unpredictable.
peaks.
Okay.
It's just unpredictable when those
Okay.
peaks will be.
All right, what about sneakers? I don't know. In terms of product, what did you guys see in 2019? Hottest sneakers in the market. I mean, obviously 2019 probably belonged a lot to Vans. Vans was huge. They killed it in 2019. That was a huge product that was out, especially back to school. Everybody had Vans for back to school.
Yeah. Of course, Doc Martens.
Doc Martens had a big year. Birkenstock continues to grow.
And like you said, Crocs too. We went to a gala and there was people with Crocs.
Crocs are blown up.
And there were people who didn't know. Like I've heard a couple whisperings, like, why do those people have on Crocs at an event like this? And it's like they're trying to be more fashionable and less like, just like the kick around shoe, So it's interesting starting to see that happen like in the real world.
Yeah, they have platform Crocs now.
Right.
Platform Crocs?
Yeah.
How high are the platforms?
Like a good 3 inches.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Plastic? Plastic. Well, I guess you can do all kinds of different things with mold injection. I mean,
Totally.
Hoka was big this year. Hoka had a big year
lot of Hokas
on the
out
running
there.
side.
Yep. Nike and Jordan, Nike in particular is just
Yeah.
dominating. And I think we saw a little bit of kind of brake pumping on the Adidas side. They've had a number of hot
Right.
years. But Nike is just a juggernaut, and they're killing it.
It's kind of like you've seen it like turn, like the
Right.
tables turn a little bit from them.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Companies like Genesco had good reported earnings.
Yeah.
Steve Madden did.
Yep, Steve Madden's still doing well.
Shoe Carnival up. Rack Room was up.
Yep.
So like retails did quite well this year. Brick and mortar did quite well considering everybody thinks they're on the decline. I think it's hard to know what was sold in stores versus on their online platform. But
Right.
in this world and age, what does it matter as long as they're selling shoes?
So true. It's shocking that I saw recently that this will be the first time in American history we go through an entire decade without a recession, and that just blows your mind. We've had no slowdown. I think the question comes for 2020. I think we have expected growth, but it won't be at the range that we've seen. And so, are we starting to see a slowdown that ultimately will lead to recession? It's hard to know.
Well, we talked about it. If there was certainty on the trade front, if Donald Trump said we're locking in the rates right now, and over the next year we're not going to do anything until after the election, the economy would take off.
Totally.
If he cut some deal of whatever it looks like, and then those tariffs got reduced, we would be like Boomtown USA. It would be insane how much the economy could grow. But then our challenge would be we have no workers to fill these positions because we have a crackdown on the border. We have crackdown on immigration where we typically find people to solve those
unemployment rates so low.
Those jobs at those different levels. And and even there's something like there's negative employment in like technology sectors, meaning there's more jobs being created than people to fill those voids, even as they find H-1B and bring people over into the U.S. to fill it. So our economy is doing extravagantly well considering all the negative news that we have and still the fear we have of this upcoming recession. And I mean, we will have a recession. We don't know if it's 2020, 2021. We don't know if it's going to be like a real bad recession or just a blip on the map. But, things are going pretty well for many of our companies despite the challenges that they have. But there will be challenges in 2020 in the same way as Matt said. It's going to continue to be a headache. I'd rather take a headache than a heartache, though. So hopefully we can get a deal done.
Oh, I totally agree. But I think we talked about this in prior shoe-in shows, but a lot of people think that a presidential election year is really a down year because the candidates talk down the economy, the ones running against the incumbent, so that they can talk about the importance of what they're going to do if they're elected to boost the economy. And what our data showed us, at least last cycle, was that it's the year after an election that is often the downside of spending because, the president has been selected and it might be a new administration coming in, it might not be, but consumers start to kind of pull back no matter what's happening with the new administration. And I think, that makes 2021 look like the probably the destination for some kind of slowdown, but that remains to be seen. And our members, couple this with the shifts in sourcing. I can't, just all the side conversations we have about sourcing, I can't get over the fact that one human being out of 7 point whatever billion makes a decision or sends out a tweet, and multi-billion dollars of industries are moving around and doing everything they can to get out of certain countries, and people are flying over China left, right, and center, and everyone's up late at night and working really late hours and trying to figure out costing and not knowing if a certain deadline is going to happen. And just from one guy who's shaken up our economy so much. And it just blows me away that's kind of the environment we find ourselves in. So to Andy's point, if you took that uncertainty away and said, hey, look, we've struck a deal, or we're going to continue this for the next 10 years, so just settle in, then I think our folks would, the economy would start to show some greater
They got money
growth.
sitting on the sidelines.
Totally. When I made the rounds in Portland not too long ago, and one of them talking to a lot of the different brands there, they have an interest in capital investment. They're just holding back on it right now because they don't know what their duty bill is going to be. Because guess what, people? Americans pay the duties. That's the one thing. If the president has a New Year's resolution, it should be stop saying that the Chinese pay the duties, because it's not true.
Yeah. He's always uneducated.
You just let him talk at this point.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, like, of course, tariffs are going to be like a huge hot topic for 2020, but what else do you think outside of that will be, just coming from like a tech standpoint? Anything specific? I know we had like a really big year for 3D like the past 2 years, but you think that still will continue? Or
It's very interesting because many of the companies we work with make a lot of shoes for the American marketplace. I think some of the 3D technologies that we're seeing some of the companies making that are actually for emerging markets like China. So in China, there's, I think, a growing demand for something really unique and cool like 3D printed shoes, more so than here in the U.S.
yeah.
I don't know. 3D is still very much in its infancy because you're basically looking at limited materials, and there's still some complexities to designing in 3D and printing in 3D. 3D for a lot of our companies is mainly for prototyping. If you can design in CADs and you can send it to a machine that prints it overnight, and you come back in and you got your sample, your designer can look at it and very quickly say, this is exactly what we want, send it to the factory, or we need to make adjustments before it goes to the factory. So there's that. I think in hot topics, companies are going to continue to struggle with what software to try to solve some of their bottlenecks and workflow challenges. No one really has the answers. You got to find the right fit. Some of the interesting companies that I've seen solving the challenge, instead of buying a one-size-fits-all system, they're buying different software for different departments and hiring coders to make the systems talk to each other, so that it allows the people within each department to feel like they have buy-in and do different things. So that's an interesting way to think about it and what companies are working on. But I also think, the biggest buzzword, and I guess the emerging buzzword in 2019, that will be the largest buzzword in 2020 that everybody will be using, not just big brands, but everybody will be using, is sustainability. And it's really a loaded term in some ways, both in terms of how people see it, and it's in terms of product, it's in terms of people. So like people in Europe think of sustainability completely different than Americans think of sustainability. When we talk about sustainability of product, sometimes I think higher end products, you can add more cost to that as you become more sustainable, because there is an investment in it, and you can price it up a little bit more. And if you look at mass retail shoes, it's really hard to put out a sustainable shoe at Walmart at $10.
Yeah,
right?
just not. Consumers won't pay for it.
Right. So there are things that we're trying to get people around the table and discuss these things. And my hope is we'll get a lot of buy-in from the industry. These are things that aren't trade secrets, but something that we can make a huge impact on for our industry, for sustainable materials, helping factories become more sustainable. Digitization issues. So in 2020, to kick it off, we're doing a sustainability roundtable in Boston in February. And then in May, another big event that we have coming up that's brand new is going to be our kind of a digital transformation summit that's going to happen in Portland. And that's really going to be very important, because people will be able to see step-by-step workflow for going digital, whether it's going fully 3D printed shoe, which is very advanced, or just kind of digitizing their design from sketching to Adobe to Modo by Foundry or into Roman CADs. It depends on where you want to go with that kind of digitization, but we're trying to map out the pathways for that, so people are less confused. I mean, people are putting a lot of effort and time to try to figure out those things before they spend the money, and we're putting this summit on so everybody across the industry has the opportunity to learn about these new softwares that they can use, how to actually use it, right? If you're going to buy something and invest in it, what's the best way to do it? So we'll bring in Deckers, we'll bring in Wolverine, we'll bring in Columbia and Keen, and they'll share what they've been doing on it to help other brands think about it more critically.
And we also have the Exec Summit, March 19th here in D.C., so that'll be a focus on the uncertainty of retail, politics, trade policy, consumers, product development, sustainability, all the like. So make sure people check that out, FDRA.org. But I think what we should do as we close out this episode is come up with some and maybe Blake's got some appropriate music or sound effects, but some New Year's resolutions. New Year's shoe-solutions.
Shoe year resolutions? Is it a shoe year?
Shoe year resolutions.
Shoe year resolutions.
Jasmine.
Like, give me an example. Shoe year. Oh, okay.
I'm going to buy 12 pairs of shoes in January.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm going to buy maybe like a
Very
good 10 shoes at the top of the year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Big time.
Because I need a lot.
Okay.
And I've gotten rid of a lot thanks to Souls for Souls.
Oh, nice.
So
You
I
gotta
have
replenish.
room. Yes.
What about you, Sabria?
I don't want to miss any more drops. I
that sucks.
want to get them when they first release instead of paying the super expensive.
What do you have your eye on?
Well, I really want the Dior Jordan ones. I doubt I'll get them.
I said Jasmine's face.
I doubt I'll get them, but I'm gonna try my best.
Can we share them?
Can we share? Yeah, you split
Put
the
it
cost. Share the costs. What about you, Andy?
I don't know, man. Shoe year resolution. I think my hope is more work focused, but I really hope that we can get a big number of people around the table at our sustainability roundtable, and come together and really work together on sustainability. This idea that a company needs to go alone it's a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of strife to do that, and I think we can do better for our environment if we all work together on certain topics.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My hope is that we can get people together and everybody will agree to work together on some stuff and not silo things in our industry.
Yeah.
Well, you make me feel all bad now.
Yeah, you're all
That was
like,
like a
gimme.
good-
And he's like, save the world.
Well, can I add on to it?
No, that's
Okay,
it.
all right.
No more talking. Your carbon emissions are enough. All the hot air happening in here about I'm going to clean it up.
And with that, my shoe year resolution is to give more of my shoes to the poor and those in need, so Jasmine feels even worse about her shoes.
She said she cleaned out her closet.
Yeah,
That's what
that
it
was a good
That's
point.
true.
Thank you
That's
for
true.
the save.
No, but it's actually to pare down a bit and to just take a chill on the shoe buying, and more on the shoe suggesting to our members who can send them to me for free.
Interesting.
I'm just being honest, people. I'm just being honest. So no, all kidding aside, it's to maybe just pay $2.9 billion in duties next year. The normal rate.
Instead of what is it going to do?
5.2.
Wow.
Yep. So with that, all that being said, very happy, healthy, blessed, and grateful for a new year coming up, and grateful for this team. And I wish everyone a happy new year.
Happy New Year, everybody! Thanks for listening. Go to shoeandshow.com to download all our episodes. As you're getting up from your hangover from the night before, you can download our podcast and binge it instead of Netflix. There you go. Our New Year's gift to you, 200 episodes. I want you to listen to them all in one day. Until then, Shoe-In is out.
Shoe-In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit FDRA.org.